their finances, content in their love, in their social life, content in their professional life. Very rare do you get people who are happy with all three. But I think that it's important that you try to surround yourself with the right people, and unfortunately, perception is reality, And I was observing something in a social group where, I saw some mean girl behavior from some people that I thought, wow, how ironic, because given that if we were in a different social, and I don't want to get into what the environment was or who was there or call anybody out particularly, because I do know these people and I feel like it would be more respectful to speak to them one-on-one. But I do want to share because I feel like this is an opportunity for us to learn. So, I observed some mean girl behavior from some people who, quite frankly, given another social circle, they would be the subject of other people being mean to them. And in those situations, I would definitely step up for them because I don't feel like anybody should be made to feel ostracized for the sake of a good laugh. I think that that's very dangerous behavior. And, what I want to say is oppressed people know how to oppress people. And, you never really realize how true that actually is until you get into a very unconscious, sometimes parties or social gatherings can be a place for unconsciousness to really wield itself. There's alcohol, sometimes there's drugs, sometimes there's a lot of food, and it is a real opportunity for people to kind of act with reckless abandon and not be conscious in the moment, so they are just doing things. They're having more drinks. They're smoking more weed. They're, doing more hookah. They're eating more food. They're just kind of drilling into a level of unconsciousness. And I don't know, it bothered me. It bothered me because, I don't want to see people from any community, people from any minority or disparaged group kind of be mean to each other, yet and still say, hey, I'm for this group. I'm for that group. Black lives matter. LGBTQI lives matter. All Black lives matter. All people of color matter. And, but yet and still, I'm starting to realize that, and this is actually really interesting that especially amongst people of color. Now, there is a difference between saying Black and saying people of color. Now, there are some people of color who are not Black, but Black people can never be non-people of color. And so I think that people of color who are not Black sometimes like to pretend that some of their opportunities don't come because or some of their opportunities are given to them because they are non-Black people of color. Some of the ways that they're able to be oppressive only exist because they are non-Black people of color. Black people of color have to be very discerning about how and a lot of times that's not true because, again, cisgendered hetero Black men oftentimes are some of the most oppressive people in the culture. They know how to really step on you. I don't even want to say it, but they really know how to create an environment that is toxic and oppressive. Not all, but some. And I think that is because they don't give prudence to where their privilege comes from. They are kind of playing along with the fact that, like, well, I'm this underserved group, or I'm also part of this kind of underserved, underrepresented and marginalized group. So therefore, I too know what it feels like to be oppressed, and I'm very unconscious when I'm being nasty. And it's just nasty. I saw that behavior yesterday and I thought it was nasty. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to get along or whatever the case is. But I think it's rude, especially when you're talking about people and they're standing right there. That shit is rude. It's rude and it's nasty and it's childish. So just something I observed. You know what else I observed? What's up with your boy Meek Mill? What's wrong with him? Every 5 minutes, doesn't it seem like he has something to say about our friend Nicholas Minaj? Well, yesterday was no different, Friday was no different when he said, and I quote, got on Twitter to say, when you see a girl you used to like with the love of her life on socials, ... You start to see her real worth, don't you? ? LOL. Now, Meek Mill is currently going through some legal issues over a lawsuit where he allegedly stole the lyrics on 100 Summers plus Cold Hearted, 2 songs that I have no idea about. Meek Mill reportedly had access to a songwriter's file of the Dream Rich, the irony, Dream Chasers and Dream Rich. Dream Rich believes that when Meek allegedly helped himself to the lyrics, Dream Rich is seeking $300,000 in damages. And Meek Mill and his team have not chosen to address these allegations, yet still he has definitely chosen to address seeing some seemingly, I would say Nicki Minaj, but I don't know this man like that, but seemingly seeing his ex-girlfriend online with the love of her life and quote unquote starting to see her real worth. Now, I think that that's weird to me, and we've talked about Mika before wanting to listen, it's his right to get on any platform and say whatever he wants, but I find it weird that a lot of the context of his questioning regarding women and relationships seems to be in reference to his past relationship with Nicki Minaj. Very high profile relationship. But he is in a current relationship with Philadelphia born and bred designer Milano DeRouge. And I could be saying that wrong, but she just gave birth to a baby boy for him. And I don't know, I would find it troubling as a girlfriend if a lot of the focus of your attention in terms of chat were about your ex. It would be weird for me. I don't make it a habit, good, bad, or indifferent, to speak about my ex, which doesn't mean that Meek can't do whatever you want, but you definitely know that when you do that, it is stirring the pot for people to question, what is it that you are hung up about when it comes to Nicki. So Nicki has chosen to not address it, and kudos to her. Speaking of which, now, how are y'all accusing Beyonce of cultural appropriation? Now, there is a Nigerian model, Dimso, who says that the singer is contributing to the flawed ideologies concerning how Africa is seen by the world. And so she goes on to say that Beyonce including African culture in her music, but never adding Africa to her tours, is somehow offensive. Saying Beyonce making a whole movie based off Africa and its culture that's not available in Africa. Didn't know that. She goes on to talk about Beyonce including African. Beyonce She went on to add that she's not saying that she has to come to Nigeria or whatever. She's saying that she's contributing to the problematic ideologies of how Africa is viewed to line her pockets. And Africa isn't even a country. She's mostly taking from Yoruba cultures. So now listen, if I, as a young Jamaican girl, were watching someone quote unquote, perform reggae music and seemingly take up the bloodstained banner of Jamaican culture, but never actually come to Jamaica, and was giving this kind of ideologic view of Jamaica being this third world country where the kids are walking around on dirt roads with no shoes on and, you know, smoking weed all day with dreadlocks, I would find that to be problematic. You know what I mean? And listen, Beehive, please don't come for me. I'm not saying that Beyonce is wrong, because Beyonce has actually given a platform to many African artists and has featured them and given them professional and financial opportunities through the filming of her new her new performance piece, Black is King, as well as her work on The Lion King, as well as other, professional works that she's done. So I'm not saying slander against Beyonce, but I could also see on the flip side how one could feel like, well, Beyonce, you kind of painting Africa as this lions and tigers and bears, and we only wear kente cloth, and we out here not having any shoes on, and like if that is how this young lady is feeling, then listen, she has the right to feel that way. She goes on to say, if you're going to speak on something, come correct. Africa is not some prop. You can't come and pull from our culture from when it's convenient. That's appropriation. And not every time we were kings. Please, some of us were palm wine tappers. We don't wake up in the morning and tie our wrapper and put chalk on our face and scream Wakanda, then go to hunt lions. We wake up, open Twitter like the rest of the world. Please stop pushing this old narrative because it's late. Well, Beyonce is loved and protected by a gang of folks, which includes her mom, Tina Knowles. And Tina defended Beyonce against the claims of appropriation by saying, how do you appropriate Black culture when you are Black? Now, Tina Knowles is not afraid of defending her baby girls against online haters. And basically, Miss Tina reposted a screenshot of a tweet on her Instagram that read, LMAO, the annoying thing about the capitalist argument with Beyonce is Lemonade, her Black album, is one of her lowest selling albums. So if we're talking profit, she wouldn't continue to make music highlighting Blackness if it was solely for profit. She captioned her post by saying, thank you. I could not have said it better. It's really sad that the women who shout the loudest, the protect the Black woman narrative, that they are the ones that are trying to tear her down. Sisters, wake up. She continued on by saying that her daughter was raised to embrace her fellow women in every way as opposed to criticizing them. And I quote, Beyonce was taught from a little girl to lift other women up and not tear them down. She minds her own business, does not criticize anyone, gives her time and money, and dedicates her art to boldly show the royalty and beauty of her heritage and journey. Her work is to change the narrative, to show that we did not start off as slaves, but that we were kings and queens before we were forced into slavery. Don't you want to see something that shows that? Aren't you sick and tired of seeing us as slaves? Now, here's the thing with Mama Tina's argument. I think that both, I can understand how the Nigerian model Dimso and please forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. But I could see how she could feel the way that she feels. And I could also understand Mama Tina's point. Now, I'm not trying to be safe here. I'm not trying to dick ride Beyonce's